I'm sorry, that was my attempt at the Uncharted intro music. You know, whenever you boot up the
Oh,
collection, you know, and that sultry music shows up. You know what I
I
mean?
was so lost.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Game Club from Wannabe Critic Productions. I am one of your hosts, Gabriel Fast. You know what? Here's the thing, Mikey Collins, the one who's joining me. I always say
Right.
I'm one of your hosts. This is literally like my podcast, and I have guests on to co-host with me. So
Mhm.
like you're one of my co-hosts for this particular episode, but as of right now, it's just me, baby. It's just me running this train. You know what I mean? And that's okay. What's really funny though is how I don't know whenever this show's gonna come out. I mean, to be perfectly honest, I have no idea. Um,
Just don't say the date and you're
yeah,
fine.
no, that's the thing is I'm not gonna say a couple weeks. I'm not gonna say a couple months. I'm not even gonna say a couple years because that's how we roll here. You know what I mean?
Whoa.
Yeah, I know, big winter time. But I do like how recently on a show, Mikey was like, "Oh yeah, I've been playing Uncharted," and then literally after that show was over, I was like, "Hey, you want to do Game Club on Uncharted?" Because not too long ago, I also went through the first two Uncharted games myself. And I
Mm.
really I went through them with the intent of talking about them on Game Club, but that's been a while back. So, long story short, here we are, me and one Mikey Collins, a fellow wannabe from, as of right now, the Wannabe Critic podcast. Mikey, how you feeling?
Feeling good. Feeling fly.
Feeling
Like a like a
lit
Friday like a
Friday
Friday.
night?
Yeah.
What you yeah
Basically. Except
yeah.
it's it is
It is
Friday.
Friday. Oh my God. Yeah. As of right now, ladies and gentlemen, it is April 16th. It is a Friday. It is midday,
I
and I
just
am
said not to say the date.
I'm not. Well, we're not saying the release date. You know what I mean? Like
Oh.
it's they don't. No one needs to know. It doesn't matter. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, we're here talking about some say legendary, a legendary title from Naughty Dog. The developer is Naughty Dog. Publisher is Sony Computer Entertainment. And we are talking about Uncharted Drake's Fortune. Now, mind you, this is not the actual PS3 version. We are going to be talking about the remake. I think is what it really is. I think Uncharted, are they remasters or remakes? I think no, they're like remastered.
I think they were remasters. I
Yeah,
don't
they're
think
just remastered.
They're just reskinned.
Yeah, basically got a new coat of paint.
Yeah.
Because
Well,
I
like a
will
remake.
say, yeah, I mean, I will say I jumped into Uncharted 1 and I was thinking to myself, like, holy monkey, like, these controls are still so bad. Like, it still feels, I'm like, yep, feels like Uncharted 1 still.
Yep.
It's like, God dang it, I shot you in the head. What the heck? So many times. It's like they kept that in there on all the games on purpose. Mikey, thank you so much for sitting down with me for the next 30 minutes or so to talk about this game. We're going to be doing a little series on this. We'll be doing 1 and 2 back to back today just to get them out of the way and recorded. And then a few weeks from this recording date, we'll be recording number 3 with Ethan Maestri. Will be joining us. I have never beaten Uncharted 3, so that'll be fun. I'm sure we will eventually get to Uncharted 4 as well. Have to dip my toes back into it and play that one. And
Did you ever beat 4?
yeah, I beat 4. Yeah.
Man, you haven't beat 3, but man,
Yeah, I haven't beat 3, but I beat 4. Because 4 always kind of felt like a standalone a little bit.
it really
like,
was. That's the one I started with.
Yeah, I think that was the first one I played. I think was number 4 actually.
Mhm.
So
Great game to jump into if you've never played them.
Yeah.
I mean, personally, if you want to play 4 first and then play these, I think that's totally acceptable.
yeah. Well, it's kind of like the James Bond thing. Like
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like so if you go into the latest Tomb Raider game right now, right, Rise or Shadow of the Tomb Raider, you're gonna be lost. I think
Yeah.
because so much happens, and realistically, I think Uncharted does a better job of making because the new Tomb Raider games really, from what I've played of them, don't really feel as Tomb Raider-y as the old ones felt. Like to me, Uncharted games feel like the PS2 era Tomb Raider games, but like modernized. Like actually took that
Yeah.
same idea and like made it actually feel modern. Which is kind of interesting because Tomb Raider is kind of the OG, but but we digress. Most notably, with Uncharted Drake's Fortune, the lead is the wannabe Nathan Fillion himself, Nolan North.
I guess.
Dude,
It's
come on.
you could probably flip it either way.
Yeah. It's true. It is kind of weird though. Like it does feel like Nathan Fillion should have been Nathan Drake, you know. And didn't they
He
model?
was.
Didn't they model Nathan Drake after him? Basically,
I don't know, but he played Nathan Drake.
Nathan Fillion
Mm-hmm.
in the game.
There was a fan. There was a fan
Oh
film.
yeah. I remember. I remember. I was like, I'm gonna kill you, Mikey.
It was pretty good.
So Mikey's played these games. Mikey, you've played these games recently. What is kind of? You said you jumped into the fourth one first. Is there anything significant we should know about these moving forward for you personally?
Probably my favorite. I want to say trilogy, but I'm gonna probably just say game series that I've ever played because I've never really played this many games of a single series. I don't like. I can't even think of another series like a big like maybe the Arkham series. That's probably close. Like
Yeah.
I love those games, but like this is just completely different.
Yeah.
And I just it's a good ride. It's just all it's basically this whole series of games is just a popcorn movie that's just really fun to play.
Yeah.
And I love
It is kind of interesting how Sony had their version of like the cover based shooter, right?
Yeah.
And then Xbox had their version of the cover based shooter. And it's so funny because you're not really a huge Gears fan.
No, not really.
But it's kind of like to me they're not one and the same because they do different things better, I think. But
Yeah.
everything you just described, like kind of the popcorn, like action movie feeling.
Yeah. I feel like it's for me it's why I love these so much is because just Indiana Jones.
Yeah,
Just
it totally,
everybody that grew up watching Indiana Jones, if you play these games, you'll be like, "Oh, yeah, this is awesome."
Yeah.
I feel like I'm Harrison Ford. It's a modern day Indiana Jones video game. is what
Yeah,
it
and
is.
that's so funny because I did not grow up watching Indiana Jones.
really
Yes, so
I
to
love
me,
those movies.
whenever I played all the Uncharted games first before I played Indy or before I watched Indy.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's kind of it's kind of funny to like go into, and I like these games. I never really connected with them.
Really?
And I don't really love them in the same way. I like I said, I like them and I can talk about them objectively for sure and like talk about the great things they've done and like they've really pioneered the genre.
Yeah.
Uncharted and Gears both kind of in their own right. And then I think that there's a lot of things that are to see the progression between Uncharted 1 to Uncharted 4 is pretty amazing to me.
Yeah.
Just in terms of gameplay and in general. The thing that is consistent throughout all of these games is the performances.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what I want to
two
get
things.
into. Yeah, well, the performances and what else?
Music.
Music. Yeah,
Amazing
for sure.
music.
And atmosphere. Like the atmospheres are second to none, honestly.
Three things.
Like yeah, so 3. There you go. But we are talking about number 1 to start off today. I don't really have anything significant that people should know about me. It's not anywhere close to my favorite. I do think it's a fun time for sure. But yeah. I asked Mikey to recap the plot, but he told me that since both games kind of run together for him, he didn't feel comfortable doing it. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to a little website. You might have heard of it. It's called Wikipedia.
So everything we're about to say may or may not be true.
Nathan Drake. No, I'm just kidding. Treasure hunter Nate Drake, who is played by Nolan North, is accompanied by reporter Elena Fisher and recovers the coffin of his self-proclaimed ancestor, Sir Francis Drake, having located it from coordinates inscribed on a family heirloom, a ring Nate wears around his neck. The coffin contains Sir Francis Drake's diary, which gives the location of El Dorado. Pirates attack and destroy Nate's boat, but Nate's friend and mentor Victor Sullivan rescues the two in his seaplane. Fearing Elena's reporting will attract potential rivals, Nate and Sully abandon her at a dock. Following the diary to the indicated spot, Nate and Sully discover an alcove that once held a large statue and realize that El Dorado is not a city but rather a golden idol. They find a Nazi U-boat which contains a page from Drake's diary showing the statue was taken to an island. However, mercenaries led by criminal Gabriel Roman, to whom Sully owes a massive debt, and his lieutenant Atak Navarro intercept Nate and Sully. Sully is seemingly killed by a shot to the chest, but Nate manages to escape, encounters Elena, and flies with her to the island. On the way, anti-aircraft fire forces Elena and Nate to bail out, and they are separated. After retrieving supplies from the wrecked seaplane, Nate heads toward an old fort to find Elena. Briefly captured by pirates led by his old associate, Eddie Raha, Elena breaks Nate free and they flee to the island's old customs house. After finding records showing the statue was moved further inland, they find that Sully is alive and accompanying Roman and Raha. Nate and Elena find and rescue Sully, who, having survived due to Drake's diary blocking the bullet, explains he was buying time for Nate by misleading Roman. Searching through the tunnels of a monastery, Nate overhears an argument between Roman, Navarro, and Eddie, revealing that Roman hired Eddie to capture Nate and secure the island, with the reward being the share of El Dorado. Following Nate's escape, Roman doubts Eddie's abilities and ignores his claim that something cursed on the island is killing men, leading him to dismiss Eddie and his crew. Regrouping, Nettie and Elena find a passage leading to a treasure vault in which they find the body of Drake, assuming that he died searching for the treasure. They encounter a terrified Eddie and crew member shortly before they are attacked by mutated humans who kill the crew member despite Nate's efforts. Eddie is also killed when one drags him into a pit. Yeah. Nate and Elena escape and find themselves in an abandoned German bunker. Venturing into the base, Nate discovers that the Germans had sought the statue during World War II, but like the Spaniards before them, became cursed from the statue, causing them to become mutants. Sir Francis, knowing the statue's power, attempted to keep it on the island by destroying the ships and flooding the city before he too was killed by the mutants. Nate returns to find Elena has been captured by Roman and Navarro, and regrouping with Sully, he fails to stop them from reaching the statue. Navarro, knowing of the curse, tricks Roman into opening the statue, revealing it to be a sarcophagus containing a mummy infected with an airborne mutagenic virus. Upon Roman turning into one of the mutants, Navarro kills him and takes control of his men, planning to sell the virus as a biological weapon. Nate jumps onto the sarcophagus and rides it as Nate jumps onto the sarcophagus and rides it as it is airlifted onto a boat in the bay. He engages and defeats Navarro and manages to sink both the sarcophagus and him to the bottom of the ocean. Sully arrives, and after Nate and Elena display affection towards each other, they leave the island with several chests of treasure. Yeah, exactly. All right, shout out to Wikipedia.
Right?
So
That's
yeah,
pretty good.
Yeah, no, that's a pretty good summation of pretty much everything that happens in the game. It's always good. If you're listening to this, it's probably been a while since you've actually gone through the game. So we'll probably end up doing this. We'll end up doing this more, giving a little bit of a synopsis of sorts.
Yeah.
So Mikey, Uncharted: Drake's Fortune. Does it do it for you? Do you like this game?
Oh yeah. It as one of a YouTuber I watch says, it gives me the fizz.
The fizz?
The fizz.
Okay. Yeah. So run me through why you just said that. No, I'm just kidding.
I don't want to explain.
Yeah. No. I'm just kidding. I like how it kind of play. I like this game. I really do. Technical issues aside, I really like kind of the twist and making you think that things are one way whenever they're actually another way. Because I remember playing this a while, not that long ago, and being like, I don't remember these monsters really.
Why did the game just go pitch black and I just have a flashlight?
Yeah, exactly. It's like
takes a hardcore turn.
And in a way, it kind of feels like the game took notes from Resident Evil a little bit, because Resident Evil definitely plays off of the idea of things seem one way whenever they're actually not.
Who makes Resident Evil?
Capcom.
And who makes the Snake game? Snake?
Oh, Metal Gear Solid. That was Konami.
Konami.
Yeah, Hideo Kojima.
Gotcha. I just didn't know if Naughty Dog, if maybe people that worked for Naughty Dog worked for those games, because you can see similarities in both those. Because even when Drake dies, like Nate dies sometimes, you're like, Drake, Nate.
Yeah.
They have nods to different games for sure, but I don't know if it was on purpose or not.
I mean, I think you kind of innovate on your inspiration.
Yeah.
It's worth noting that Amy Hennig, Neil Druckmann, and Josh, I think it's Josh Scare?
Josh Shar.
are credited with writing the game. You know, Druckmann, of course, has been highly esteemed for The Last of Us. And that is one thing from the get-go is, and by the way, I wanted to mention this too. If you haven't ever watched the documentary of how Naughty Dog came to be, it's really, really interesting.
I haven't watched that.
It's really, really cool. And just to kind of see how the evolution from Crash Bandicoot to Jak and Daxter to Uncharted to The Last of Us, like kind of seeing how like they were always super intent on telling these hyper focused games of the generations that they were found in is super duper interesting. It's kind of cool. Yeah, you need to watch it. It's really, really cool.
What's it called?
It's not a no clip documentary, I don't think. But you could literally just type in Naughty Dog documentary and it'll pop up.
Like on YouTube?
Yeah, on YouTube. It's on YouTube.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Cool.
so it's pretty cool. But anyways, really, really solid. I think it's a solid game, and it really speaks for the time. This was like cutting edge for the PS3 back in the day, and it was kind of one of those things where people were kind of saying like, I didn't know you could really make a game like this, you know, or make a game feel like this way. Because, of course, you had always had action games and, you know, even something akin to like Jak and Daxter and, you know, Crash Bandicoot that had come before it. They were very focused, you know, experiences. And that's exactly what this feels like, too, even the first game. I do think for the time period that it came out in, even the gunplay was really kind of, I don't want to say revolutionary because I think it just basically iterated on what existed and kind of taking notes from things like what you've said, like Metal Gear Solid and things like that.
Yeah.
But was, you know, with this first game, is there anything that like really particularly sticks out to you as being like significant or like overly impressive? And things like, wow, I can't believe this is a thing, you know, positively at least.
I mean, like I said at the beginning, the music, that's a big part for me. And just, man, I'm trying to think of like specific scenes, but there's just so many where you just like walk into a room and you're like, even though it's an old game, you're still, you're in awe, even though it's still like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
It definitely, in my opinion, if you look past some of the glitches that do happen with older games like this, it's still a solid game. Like as long as you put it on easy mode.
Yeah.
If you play it on anything over easy and you're not used to playing older games, it can kind of be difficult.
Yeah.
So
there's one scene, there's one gunfight in particular I remember like
the last one?
No, well that one's hard too, but then there's another one where you have a statue right in the middle, and like it's like a staircase. Like there's a staircase up the ramp, all around
that's
you.
That's right before you do the last battle.
Yeah. Like really, really, really towards the end of it. There's a couple times where it was just like super duper frustrating because you're getting shot from 4 or 5 different places. If you pop your head out for too long, you know, and I think that's kind of a continuation through all of these games, at least the ones I've played. You know, the fourth one's a little more forgiving for sure.
Oh yeah, well, it's also it just feels better too.
Yeah, I mean, but this first one, like, there's just no place to hide. Like, it's like I was in cover and I still died. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And that's a big deal to me because I've recently started playing games like this because I've played this game. I played the first one and halfway through the second one a while ago, and then I decided to redo the trilogy, and I didn't really remember what happened. So I restarted the first one, but I was like, I don't want to have to struggle again. So I put it on easy, and I played through the whole game on easy, and I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed my video game not being stressful to the point to where I wanted to break my controller and because it made my experience, even though it's an old game, enjoyable. And I didn't feel like I was playing an old game because it just felt like I was playing a video game well. And then I did it on a second one, and then I actually did it on the third one as well because it just I think I'm going to start doing that on story-driven games more because it helps me enjoy what I'm playing rather than, and maybe if I do playthroughs like a second time or a third time, I might do it on a different difficulty.
Well, even on easy, like even on easy, there's still difficulty. Like there's still struggle, but it doesn't feel unachievable, you know?
Yeah. I just think that's the more enjoyable way to play a game like this. like the first time.
Yeah,
You
for
know.
sure. I mean, for me, I've been playing stuff on easy for a little over a year now, like
Yeah.
anything story driven. And unless it's something I know I'm going to be taking my time with anyways, but like to be able to get through it and like enjoy it in a timely manner, it still takes time. It's not like I'm trying to just
Yeah.
breeze through it, but you don't get stuck, and you
Hmm.
just can continue on, which is nice. So I totally pick up what you're laying down there. And also to speak to something you said earlier, um it feels very believable in the sense that these places feel like they actually exist.
Oh yeah.
Like this adventure you're going on feels like you totally buy the atmosphere that you're kind of placed in, and you totally buy like, yeah, Nathan Drake's skills allow him to navigate this terrain in such a way to where he can progress. And if he can do that and his adversaries can do that as well, then yeah, it makes sense that they're able to kill me so easy because they're professionals. Like in every sense of the word, they're in a similar boat as Nathan Drake, being able to kind of traverse those areas and do that stuff. It just makes
Yeah.
everything feel like the good guy and the bad guy are kind of on equal playing field. And I remember the like marketing for this game a while back, when 10 plus years ago. Or no. Yeah, no, 10 plus years ago. That's crazy. It's been a lot longer than that now actually.
Hmm.
Cuz man, 2007. That's wild. That's
7.
18, 19, 20. That's been almost 15 years ago.
I was 10.
Yeah, I was like 12 whenever this game came out. But I remember seeing the trailer, right, and him coming into like where these bad guys are and being like, "Oh yeah, sorry," like his charm, and like he just starts
Yeah.
shooting the guys in the cave and whatever. And I remember being like, "Wow, that's really really cool." And you kind of buy that sense of adventure. It's like this feels like a one of a kind experience that I don't feel like anywhere else I can get. And if I
Yep.
want that feeling, this is the game to play, basically. Because
Exactly.
I actually booted up Tomb Raider the other day, and guess what? The first thing I compared it to was
Uncharted.
Uncharted. Immediately, I was like, man, like, why does it feel this way? You know what I mean? Like and
Yeah.
that's weird. That's kind of crazy to do, but yeah, no, there isn't anything like super duper specific that I can say positive other than what you said, and like point to a certain, area of the game where I think like, oh, this just overwhelmingly exceeds except for the twist. They kind of have like the twist at the end, which is cool.
It's pretty awesome.
I also like how the new Tomb Raider movie totally ripped off the plot of the first Uncharted game. Like
Dude,
it's the exact same thing.
As soon as I watched it, I was like, "You got to be kidding me!"
Yeah, yeah, it's literally the same.
I was
thing.
mad the whole
Yeah.
time I watched that movie,
Yeah.
but I
I actually liked her as Laura Croft, but
she's interesting.
yeah,
I don't know.
like
I think it's kind of an impossible role. I feel like.
yeah, unless you're Angelina Jolie, you know what I mean?
I mean,
I'm just kidding. I'm just teasing. So is there anything? I feel like we've been singing the game's praises, and talking positively for a while now. Is there anything that stands out to you as being significantly negative about this game?
Negative.
I mean, if you need to think on it, I can start because I got stuff to say.
Yeah, I was actually still on the positive side. I had one more thing.
Oh, go for it. Well, go ahead. No, don't. No, go ahead. Go ahead.
It was one, like, it kind of touches on something I said earlier. It was where, like, when you walk into a place, you're like, wow, each time. The level design of each room you go in is awesome. I mean, you have to really look for being an old game. You can usually find glitches and like cracks in a game pretty easily. You know what I mean? In older games, and this
For
one
sure.
you can't really,
Yeah.
because they had really tight level design, and it was all very well made, and that's just something I really appreciate about this
Yeah,
game.
when I think the development, the pedigree that Naughty Dog holds has made it to where this game can be successfully remastered, and we can be having those moments. And it's like
Yeah.
it feels modern enough. It's like, wow, yeah, like that effect there or whatever. This is a little
Yeah.
wonky here or whatever. It still feels fluid.
Yeah.
For the most part. But no, I totally agree with you. Well, is that all the positives you had, or can we move on? Can we move on to the
Yeah,
negatives?
yeah, we can move on to the negatives.
Okay.
Negative Nancy.
I just want to, and I'm just trying to get through the podcast. You know what I mean?
I got you.
So I think the most glaring one is I think the inconsistencies with the combat. We were kind of joking about, like, you know, you obviously have a headshot, you know, shot ready to go, whether it be whatever weapon you have, and you have it lined up. It's like, you know, I'm not horrible at video games. I'm not like amazing, but I'm not like bad. You know what I mean? It's like you have it lined up. It's like, dude, I shot you in the head. Come on, like, for sure I did. Like, and it didn't. You know, the hitbox didn't register. You moved literally right at the last second. I feel like it does that so often, especially in this first game. Yeah. I was playing a little bit, you know, just kind of refresh myself on the feeling of it. The hand-to-hand combat, I'm so glad they kind of changed that, because it just feels so, like, you know, like,
Yeah.
you know, it's a little clunky, you know, transitioning between hand-to-hand combat and, you know, gun combat. And honestly, I still think the gun combat is really good.
Yeah.
But there are those inconsistencies where it can make encounters frustrating, especially if you're playing on a higher difficulty. Can you speak to anything on that?
It's kind of that in a way, but it's more the cover to cover, like how the cover to cover actions work. It's almost unusable sometimes, because you'll go up to like a pillar and he won't know either to dive to the left or to hug his shoulder to the wall. That's some of the most irritating things that would come in this game, is just when you're in the middle of a fight and you're trying to just do you see something you want to go do, and it's like your character has a seizure. And then,
yeah,
you know,
he's kind of like in the middle of doing something.
Yeah. That's the only really big glaring problem I ever had with this game, was just that was so irritating. It frustrated me so much, but yeah. I get what you're saying on that.
Yeah, and I think too, like, there's one moment in the game in particular that sticks out to me as being like super annoying every time I ever played it, and that's whenever you're on the jet ski.
Oh, yeah.
Like, trying to traverse it, you know, because correct me if I'm wrong, like, you don't actually get to shoot anything. Like, you just basically have to gun it, right, and like avoid stuff, right?
No, you have to shoot like a bunch of barrels, and
are you shooting as you're going? Is that what's happening?
I don't know if you can shoot. I don't remember.
Yeah, I just remember dying.
I think you can. You can shoot while you go.
Yeah. I think you're right. I just remember dying a lot.
Yeah, I died probably 20 times.
During that whole thing. And to me, it just doesn't feel like it should be, though, right? I mean, it's supposed to make you feel awesome.
I think it's kind of I think that point of the game was kind of their homage to Crash Bandicoot in a way, because you have to avoid pitfalls. You're on rails. You only have a certain amount of area you can do. You only have a certain amount of actions you can do. You're never off. You never jump off the jet ski and swim or anything like that. I feel like that's what they were kind of doing.
Yeah, I mean, and that does make sense.
That was frustrating, though. I never liked those style of games, so that's not something that I enjoyed like you. So, but I'm sure
I never. Well, that's the thing. I never liked Crash Bandicoot as a kid.
I never really played it. I never played it until the remastered one came out not too long ago.
Yeah, I mean, I thought I liked Crash.
Actually, I played it the first time I ever played Crash Bandicoot. That's just funny. First time I ever played Crash Bandicoot was in Uncharted 4.
Yeah, that's funny. And that legitimately is the game. Like, that it is Crash Bandicoot. So, which is kind of funny. But I never really grew up playing it, and I remember as a kid watching other people play. I played you know, the kart racing game. You know, CTR, Crash Team Racing.
Oh, yeah.
I played that a lot, but yeah, you saying that actually kind of does make sense, like saying it that way. Like, that's kind of like their way to put in an old system, you know, and like maybe utilize it. It's not for me. I don't like repeated failure. I want to move on, you know. So to me, just kind of an irritation. I did feel like, how do I put this? Like, the twist was cool, but it kind of felt a little much in some areas. Like, because you're on the ship, right? And you still encounter those things as you're trying to flee, right? You encounter those bad guys for a while, pretty much up to the towards the end of the game, correct?
I mean, until you fly to the ship, yeah, because they
Yeah.
start pouring out of the walls basically when you
Yeah, and I
take the
think for me, I think it would have been cooler to just like keep them on the boat. You know what I mean? Like,
on the boat.
yeah, like whenever you encounter them for the first time, like towards the end of it, whenever, because like, isn't there? It's basically like Nazi zombies. Like you're inside of this submarine.
That's not a boat. That's not a boat.
Well, I mean,
That's
yeah, it
a
was just
that's a building on the island. They have because you go from that crypt where you find Drake straight into where the Nazis had gotten to they had found El Dorado basically, and they had taken it.
for some reason I thought it was a submarine. Am I thinking about a different part in the game?
That's the beginning of the game when he goes. That's the one I was talking about where he's that UV boat. That's or the
Yeah.
U boat. That's a German submarine. That's where he finds the coin. I think right.
Yeah.
That leads him
That
there.
makes more sense. For some reason, I thought it was a submarine that you found them in, like a Nazi submarine. But
No, you don't see them till after that part and that giant treasure room that you had talked about in the synopsis.
right.
You find that, then you get to Drake, and he's just dead. And then that's when Raha dies and all that.
Yeah. Okay, that's right. It was the monastery.
Yeah.
Still though, I felt like it was a little. I still feel like it was a little bit. You know, is like once the effect of being scared kind of wore off a little bit. It kind of got. I don't want to say annoying. It was just slightly like, okay, I'm ready to get back to like shooting regular bad guys.
Yeah.
Which that's kind of nitpicky, but it's the same thing.
Not
it's,
really.
It's kind of the same thing with the Yetis in the second game.
Oh.
Like at the end of the second game, it's like, God, it's like, oh my God, I just got a bunch of ammo. This is great. Like after that last Yeti battle.
That's
And then
kind
it's
of like a foreshadowing thing, though, in these games, though. As soon
Yeah.
as you come into a room where there's guns everywhere, you're like, well, I'm
Yeah.
going to be having a giant battle here later.
Yeah, literally. It's like, God. And you end up using all of your ammo.
Yeah.
Like, cause like, God, holy crap, and I get it. I get it. There was a time period where it was really cool, right, to have like these bullet sponges in your games, and that was kind of the thing, is like that was the way to add a sense, more of a sense of action, to your games, was to have these bullet spongy things where the stress was, where at one point in time the stress was tank controls, like in Resident Evil 4, like, okay, you can't move and shoot at the same time. You have to stand in place and shoot, and like the stress of, oh my God, am I going to reload in time or what? Like, I get having that, like backing up as you're shooting. It's like, holy crap, am I going to have enough ammo? And having that, I think that was kind of where, that feeling was really pioneered during these years of of these games, of adding more of a sense of, more of a sense of importance, and more of a sense of like danger, right? It's like, oh my God, these really bullet spongy, things. But at the same time, I was ready to shoot regular bad guys.
I think that's why, going back to older games right now, if you've had a bad experience like playing bullet spongy games and going to this, you're like, I hate this, so it kind of sours your opinion. But I mean, if you think of it to where this was before any of the games that I've played that I like, Destiny or like any bullet spongy game, boss game, I enjoyed it personally, and it is frustrating, but I think that's all they had to work with back then.
Well, yeah, and I think there was always this. Nowadays, we're really, really close to PC quality with our consoles, whereas I feel like they were trying to create a sense of experiences that you got on PC, like being able to take the feeling of that and be able to put it on a console. That was way more polarizing back then, even, of PC versus console, like which one are you going to go with, type thing. But I don't know, that was just a slight thing of, I just felt like that whole thing, while it was cool, I feel like it just kind of drug on too long. So
yeah,
but that's like all the negatives that I really have. Is there anything that you have to say?
Negative?
Yeah.
Or just in general? Negative.
And please don't say you didn't like Elena, so that we don't get canceled.
Elena. Who?
Elena, you know. Oh my God, we're gonna get canceled, Mikey.
Who's Elena?
Elena, dude. Elena
The blonde?
Fisher. Yeah.
Why wouldn't I like Elena?
I don't know.
No. I like her character, and I like man, that's the stinky like part about doing this, because I just want to gush about this game. So trying to find genuinely bad things that I didn't enjoy about this game is pretty difficult, which
Well,
I
I
think
mean-
is saying I think that's saying something.
Yeah,
about
I mean, if there wasn't things that you noticed that have never stood out to you, you know, because
Oh, you know, one thing that really makes me angry about this game,
what?
you can't find the vinyl anywhere,
Oh my God.
and it's always so expensive.
Ho, 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 ho. Yeah, no, I think if you don't have anything negative to say, I mean, that's fine. If there haven't been things that have stuck out to you, like the negative things that I'm saying, I've thought for years, you know, like at this point, the first time I played it on PS3, I felt the same way.
Yeah.
So, and there were times in the game where I felt like I didn't like it enough, and I was like, I will never play this game again. There were times there were things about the game. It was kind of funny. I popped in the very beginning mission. I popped a trophy for 250 headshots.
Yeah.
Like just randomly. I was like, oh, I still have stuff to do like that. And
Oh yeah.
sure enough, you know, it's like if I went through the game again, I would for sure be super duper close to,
Oh yeah.
you know, getting most of the trophies. But there's a lot of things that I don't want to put myself through again. Between the clunky combat at times and just those few like 0 to 100 hard gunfights.
Mm-hmm.
I just, you know, I played the game. I got it. It's cool. It's cool, man. That's cool.
Yeah. That's one thing about these games. I don't know if anybody really did this before these games, but Naughty Dog has a tendency to do this now, where they'll give you like 30 different skins for your main character, and they'll give you like 30 different color tones you can put on your screen. They'll let you play the game in reverse mode. It's like Mario Kart style stuff for runners through Uncharted,
Right.
and they do it with this whole trilogy. And I think that's pretty interesting, because you don't really see many games doing that anymore. You know?
Well, yeah. So before, like on the PS3 version, you would get the PS3 version.
Okay.
You
Sorry.
would get coins, right? So you get coins to where you could unlock that stuff. Is that how it is on this one too? Okay,
Same thing.
gotcha. Yeah, I think they also do that in The Last of Us as well.
Yeah. So it gives you like unlockables almost, which I think is interesting.
Well, and I think it's just encouraging you to replay the game, you know, a bunch.
Yeah.
And I really do think that there is an emphasis put on replayability with these games. Back in 2007, this would have been a game where it would be like you couldn't get enough of it, you know, because it's like cutting edge console technology, right?
Mhm.
So I mean, I could totally see people going through this multiple times.
Yeah.
And I don't think there was multiplayer on the first one for PS3. I think they started that in Uncharted 2.
Mhm.
But yeah, pretty rad. So, well, if you don't have any negative things to say, we can just wrap this bad boy up and put a bow on it and give it a good old fashioned wannabe critic score. Why don't you go first?
Okie dokie. What are we doing? We're doing like gold coins.
Oh my God. You know,
Man,
you get 50 gold stars.
50 gold stars. We don't even have demerits. Man, this one's kind of hard. It's difficult because I don't want to go too high, because we have 4 or 5 if we do that DLC, but I also don't want that to affect my score. I'm going to give this, because it's an old game, and for anybody that would play it now, I'm going to go as if it's your first time playing it now and not like it had just come out back in the day, because I feel like that's different.
Well, yeah, and I mean, like I said, this is the PS4 version, so
Yeah.
like if they still advertise this on the store, it goes on sale all the time. They're actively trying to sell it.
Yeah.
You know?
This, compared to other games that I've played on the PS4, for the story alone, I would definitely give it a solid 8. Because it is an older game, and the gunplay and some of the physics are a bit off, and it can be clunky sometimes. But I think the story and just the music and the scenery and everything about this game just makes you want to play more of it and finish it. And I think an 8 is a very, very fair score for it.
Yeah, I think in my heart of hearts, I really want to give it a 7, but I know that's not being fair to it and that's not being objective. But 9 feels way too high.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, and it's there at no point, nothing about this game screams 9 out of 10 to me. Not even story wise. You summed it up really nicely. You're like, this is an action movie in game form. Like,
yeah.
This is very surface level, and I will say it does a really good job of setting the tone for what these games become to be in the future, because we're talking about the sequel. We talk about this all the time. Of back in the day, no one would have made fun of you if you would have bought a PS3 just to play Uncharted 2.
Yeah.
Like that was like the Halo 3 of PlayStation 3 or PS3.
Even though the crazy price.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, exactly. I mean, no one would, but still though, people would have been like, "Oh, you bought a PS3, Uncharted 2? Yeah, it's pretty good."
I got it. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It does a good job of setting the bar, I think, and it is an iconic piece of gaming history that you must play. And you can pick it up for $20 in the trilogy. Because the trilogy is PlayStation hits on PS4. If you have a PS5, you can get it there as well. It's a solid game. You know, you should play it, and you will get the stuff you're hearing us talk about, complain. You will be like, oh yeah. I definitely see what they were talking about. I think people even who like you love this game, and even you're saying like, yeah, that's a problem, you know, that's an issue, that's whatever, but it's easy to overlook because the personality and the atmosphere is just so good. So
with this series, I feel like, especially this day and age, with so many games just being like, so many story driven games being top shelf, this is a type of game series that we're about to go through. If you don't have any story-driven games that you're not playing right now, and you feel like there's a hole in your gaming, this is definitely gonna fill that hole, not in a weird way. It's a solid choice if you're needing that fix.
Well, and you're talking about, you know, one of the IPs that really put Sony on the map. Of Sony's the one that has the groundbreaking story-driven, action-packed experiences. Like this is one of the things that really put Sony on the map. And the fact that this game developer and these games have such a high pedigree, even during the PS3 era.
Yeah.
The fact that they got the remaster and people are still talking about these games, and like people are out, you know, there's an outcry for more Uncharted, which by the way, we will be getting a new Uncharted game. It's been confirmed.
Oh, they did?
Yeah, well, there was a write-up. So that's the fun thing, is there was a write-up by Jason Schreier talking about how Sony Bend, the most recent, Days Gone. They did get Days Gone. There was a pitch for Days Gone 2 that got denied in 2019, and they were sent, part of them were sent to go work on an Uncharted project, and some of them were sent to go work on something else. I can't remember exactly what it was, but then the Uncharted project, at any point in time, or at whatever point in time, I think it was going to be really expensive to make. But to me, like, it's basically all but confirmed that we're going to get more Uncharted. Like, they have to for PS5. I mean, come on, you know what I mean? Whether it's whether it's an Ultimate Collection or whatever, they have to. Like,
they're gonna. I would be shocked if they don't actually just remaster the trilogy or make another one. Could you imagine old man Nathan Drake? That'd be so
rad.
Cool.
That'd be so rad. I'd be so down. Like,
yeah.
Well, and I think it just makes a lot of sense to, you know, they're going to remake The Last of Us. Why not remake the entire trilogy of Uncharted games? That seems to be what they're doing. Oh, yeah. It seems to be the strategy right now, is like, let's just remake everything. Like, I'm down. Like, I'm down.
The past 5 years. That's
I mean, why not? Like, in a world full of remasters, remakes, and reimaginings, like, why not remake literally one of the best game franchises of all time? Like, objectively, one of the best game franchises of all time.
Exactly.
You know, so there's that. It's going to be an 8 out of 10 from the wannabes here over at Game Club for the first Uncharted, ladies and gentlemen. We wanted to say thank you so much for tuning in. Really appreciate it. We appreciate you listening to all of our other stuff. If you do, I appreciate you watching the YouTube channel. It's worth noting, that there's a variety of things that we do that are all in the description down below. The YouTube channel is more focused on solo content for the most part, as solo content being me, Gabriel Fast, the Wannabe Critic, aka I can't really say CEO of Wannabe Critic Productions because it's not really.
Founder.
It's not really. I'm the founder of Wannabe Critic Productions. I pull all the strings, doing all the stuff. It's more for solo content.
Lucas.
Yeah, exactly. You're messing up my saga. The lightsabers and yeah, exactly. No, but definitely go check out the stuff that we have going on there. Obviously your support and listening to all the shows means the world. If you made it this far, I mean, God bless you. You know what I mean? That's amazing. But if you want to support the show in a different / bigger way, you can head over to patreon.com/wannabecritic. There's a tip jar tier, a request tier. There's several different tiers. But if you don't want to do that, you just want to keep listening to it as it comes out, that's all I could really ever ask for. So I seriously appreciate it. But if you do toss bucks our way, it does help the show because that helps us get better equipment. That helps us also, keep the lights on and keep the cameras going, just saying. Also, whenever there are new games that come out, I'm that much more likely to say, hey, Mikey, Uncharted 5 is coming out. Good thing we have some Patreon money where we can pull out and buy a couple copies and we can review it and say that it's sponsored by patreon.com/wannabecritic.
Sweet.
Yeah, I mean it is a cool feeling, and we're able to do that right now. Actually, me and Rex Tucker are going to be reviewing Little Nightmares 2, which will be sponsored by Patreon, which is a really cool thing. But needless to say, we're appreciative of any support you give us and hope that you continue to stick with us. So, Mikey, do you want people to be able to find you? I can never tell with you. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I've actually been a little more active on Twitter. That's kind of all I do. Social media wise, I don't really do much, but I don't say much on Twitter, but I do listen. So if you want to find me, it's lowkey MC7 on Twitter.
Yeah, his ears are to the ground. He's like a weeping willow.
I'm like a samurai.
Yeah, straight up. He's like a straight up samurai. Okay, well, that's going to wrap it up for us here, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for tuning in. Say goodbye, Mikey.
Goodbye.
Whatever possessed you to check out the podcast or the YouTube channel today, I just want to say thank you so much for doing so. If this is your first time here, I would appreciate it, if you would consider subscribing. As you can tell, it's not just me here anymore. I mean, I do stuff by myself, but the podcast is going to reside here from now on, in video form. So if you want to see more content, if you want to be notified, every time we post something, whether it be a clip, a podcast, a review, an interview, whatever it may be, if it's gaming stuff, make sure you click that bell and hit the subscribe button, and we will see you next time. Thanks for sticking around, and thank you for preparing yourselves for a plethora of hot takes and potentially unpopular opinions. I'm Gabriel Fast. I will always be the Wannabe Critic.